Alright, so this is the first video of our series that I'm making just to help you guys to think about different types of media that you could use on your COVID project. So what I'm going to be doing in this series is I'm going to be value shading these different circular sections right here and mixing my materials just to show you just some examples of what to do. One of the things that I ended up doing with my level 1 class this year is I had these little sections drawn right here just to show them how to value shade and the like. So whenever you are value shading your actual art project, be it with color or black and white or a mix of color, you are going to be doing a range of value from extreme dark to extreme light as it's done there. So I'm gonna just walk y'all through. This is one little example synopsis. So what you could end up doing is you could end up doing a base of either graphite, or either you could do a basis of the pen and ink. Mixed in with that, there are several things that could happen. You could mix in graphite with that just to add a gray scale to your already black and white value. You could mix, say, watercolor in with that. It works really well. Another thing that you could mix in that works really well too is thin layerings of colored pencils. So stylistically, when you guys add value shading to your work, you could do it in, and I know this isn't really smooth value because I was showing them how to value shade here, but you could do smooth value, you could do pointillism, you could do hatching and cross hatching. You could also do some more of like a stylized looking graphic type linear value shading type drawing. So it just depends really on what you want to do, how you want this to be shown, and really the emotional aspects of your work. So what I'm going to do with this one is I'm going to mix graphite along with the pen and ink that I'd already put down on here. And the first thing that y'all are going to do whenever you guys start on your value, whenever you're actually doing your piece, you guys are going to start with the background and you're going to move to the foreground. So what I'm doing with this, I could have chosen to do cross hatching, and I'll probably do a mix of that, but I'm adding kind of like a gray scale along with the pen and ink that I already added. And it's just a way just to add another layer and to blend in just a little bit what I did. The pen and ink works just fine over the graphite. So there's some things that don't work over things. And we'll talk a little bit about that a little bit later. But in general, these mix really well. So if you wanted to go back and add, like, say this was canceling out the black that you had added, you can always go back and you can layer on top of it. So when y'all are working on this, you all are going to need to have something, some kind of ground, some type of value that is going on in the far background. So you can't just leave it white. It could be light-ish. It doesn't have to be quite as dark as mine. It could have, you know, drawings of scenery and other things in there. That would be fine. I know in my drawings that I'm doing for the COVID project, I actually do have actual things in my background, but some of you guys might make it look kind of smoky or something like that. So I'm working from my background and I'm going to my middle ground right here. So I'm going to go around, and this is my focal point, of course. The focal point that you guys are going to be working on, what I would recommend you do is go background, middle ground, and then work to your foreground. But I would definitely try to do this last. And if you do colors back here in your background, you would implement them. In your middle ground, you would implement them. Also, some of what you've done before would be implemented in every section. Although, as you move up into your foreground, things would end up getting a little bit lighter. Possibly, I would assume that your value would end up getting warmer as you go and you proceed to the foreground area. So I'm going to just add a little bit to my middle ground right here. And I am sort of cross-hatching as I go. You can always too, if you overwork this, and you can use an art pencil. I'm just using what I actually have in front of me. You can definitely, I would definitely get an eraser, an art eraser, if you overwork and all of that, because you really do need to leave the white of your paper showing on this. So what happens is, as you layer, things tend to get, the graphite tends to get sort of waxy in appearance, and it tends to kind of cancel out just a little bit of the black that you did. So I would say in my extreme dark sections to my middle sections, I would definitely add an overlay of the pen as you go. So that's one way to do it. You can also, to this, what works really well overlaid on top of this is watercolor. So the next thing we're going to do, I'm going to make another little video, and I'm going to show you guys how to overlay watercolor on top of pen and ink, as well as pencil.